Thank you for joining us. This is the Allon Exchange with Jay and Brittany Hagy, your financial advisors and the founders of Allon Planning Partners. I'm Spike Spangle. Jay and Brittany, how are you both doing this week?
Wonderful.
Good.
Excellent. Excellent. We've got a lot to talk about. We have a lot of free tools that you have put together. We are excited, so I want to jump right into today's topic of how do people know if they're ready to retire? Now, I could look at the camera and go, I'm ready to retire. But am I financially ready to retire?
Are you really ready?
Yeah,
a lot of people are emotionally ready to retire.
Mentally ready,
I've been
maybe.
emotionally ready to retire for a while, right? You may be saying, but am I physically financially able to retire? That's really what we're asking here. And we have put a tool together for this, is allonquiz.com. And you know, we talk about the 5 components of a financial plan a lot, whether it's income planning or investment strategies or tax planning, estate planning, healthcare planning. There's a lot that goes into this. It's not just like, oh, I have X amount of dollars so I can retire, right? There's a lot that goes into it. So this quiz maybe take you 5 to 7 minutes, and it's going to go a little bit over all 5 of those components and make sure that you have a grasp on how ready am I to retire? Do I have a great tax strategy? Do I have an income strategy in retirement? Because really what we've come to find out is the outcome of our retirement plans through our working years is really accumulation and growth, right? So we're trying to get these things to grow to a certain number. Maybe we've heard we need $1 million to retire, or you need $2 million to retire, whatever it may be. So the outcome you're looking for is for these things to grow. Well, when you get into retirement, the outcome shifts, and that outcome you're looking for is the income that you're getting. Can I take what I've earned and amassed in my lifetime and create a steady income so that I don't run out of money?
Right.
That's really what folks are looking for. This quiz will take you 5 to 7 minutes and give you some basis of an idea of you may have not thought about this section of retirement planning, you know, and that's what we're looking to do.
Well,
Make it simple.
everybody wants this figure, like what's the number, right? What's the magic number I have to get to be able to retire?
Yeah.
How much should I have saved up? But the reality is that number looks different for everyone. That's not a cop-out. That's the reality of lifestyle differences, debt loads, and what your debt is. What lifestyle have you become accustomed to living to? What does it take for you to actually live?
That's right.
What are your expenses? Because that figure helps us then determine, okay, considering inflation and taxes and a number of other factors, how long will that last through retirement? Will you actually have enough to get you not just to, but through 20, 30, 35 years of retirement? So you got to begin there. You got to begin with, what are my expenses now? What is my cost now? And build out from that point.
There are some staggering numbers right now on how many people are going to be hitting retirement age in the next 15 years. And we call it a wave of retirement. It's going to happen before 2040. Currently, right now in the United States, there are about 58 million Americans who are over the age of 65.
Sure.
By 2040, in 15 short years from now, over 80 million Americans. And what it makes me think of is supply and demand.
That's a lot.
When you have more supply of retirees, what is it going to do to the demand of health care? What is it going to do to the demand of wanting to downsize a home? And I think people need to get ahead of this wave. So 100%. Again, I'm going to repeat the question. How do people know if they're saving enough, especially if we're talking 15 years down the road, things like inflation, increased costs?
You have to take all of this into consideration. So that's why Brittany said it's not a cop-out answer. Where are you in this scheme of retirement? Do you have 10 years before you retire, or do you have 5 years, or are you about to retire next year? You know, either way, one of the words you mentioned there, inflation, things are going to get more expensive in the future. Now, healthcare is going to get more expensive exponentially in the future because of, like you said, the demand on our healthcare system is going to go up. So we have to make sure we put together a comprehensive plan, not just an investment strategy to say how much money can my money make, but you really want a strategy that says how can I live off my money for a very long time, including inflation, including taxes, because unfortunately, we'll talk about this too, but Uncle Sam has a plan for you, and most of the time, most of our tax deferred dollars that we've kept are now what we have to use going into retirement, and those are all going to be taxed at different rates depending on what the tax law looks like. And so it's really unknown. So what we really want to do is make sure that we put a strategy together with today's numbers, lifestyle, 100% of today's budget that you need to live on, and add inflation, probably more than you think over time. The Fed likes to say 3%, 2 to 3%, but that's not right. You know, we have to really say 4 to 5%, you know, and try to be conservative with it to say, if my lifestyle creeps up 4 to 5% a year, is what I have continue my lifestyle for a long time. That's what we try to do.
If you are one of those who are wondering, do I have enough? We're talking through, right, here's how you begin with what your expenses are now. But in addition to that, I mean, you think about things like catch-up contributions. If you are behind the 8 ball on saving and putting money away, if you are over the age of 50, you can actually put away more into your retirement accounts than can those who are under the age 50. So taking advantage of things like that to help you catch up a bit on the backside of retirement. So those are very practical things, and I'm sure, I mean, I'm very practical. I want, like, okay, give me action steps, right? Help me really know how to put this to work for me. And so we provide solutions. So those are just a couple examples. And of course, the quiz, this Allon quiz that we put together to help you really assess where you are in this journey to retirement. How ready are you? Even if you're in retirement and you may think, I may be missing some pieces right now. I don't know how ready I am for the stage I'm in. Maybe you feel the pinch of taxes or inflation like we're talking about, or healthcare. This is a resource that will help you fill in those gaps so that you can take, again, this proactive approach and not just let it happen to you, but take control of where you are and be proactive in planning for this transition.
Brittany mentioned one thing I think was very important, is that you want to have a strategy in place for these things, right? She talked about if you're over 50 and you don't feel like you've saved enough, you may want to have contributions that are more to catch up, to make you have more put away. Well, another strategy is having tax diversification. You want to make sure that you have not all of your funds in a tax-deferred account. You may want to contribute to a Roth. If you have a Roth 401k, please look at contributing to that, because there's not even an income limit to Roth 401ks.
Right.
Where most of us get stuck if you're making a high living wage is you can't even contribute to a Roth IRA outside of a 401k. But if your company has a Roth 401k, you can make as much as you want to in a year and contribute to that Roth 401k. Look into that, take advantage of it, have some strategies in place. Allocation's a big deal. Making sure that you're not taking too much risk. We've seen market volatility all over the place the last few years. You need to make sure that you have a plan in place, and we want to sit with you and give you strategies so that you can have more peace going into retirement to say, am I ready and can I retire? Do it with confidence.
Yeah, and that's the key. We know the problems. We know you're worried about healthcare. You're worried about inflation. Over 70% of widows and women in that stage of life are so concerned about inflation. But the problem is they don't know what to do about it. That is where we come in. We understand your problem, and we want to meet that problem with real-time solutions. And this Allon quiz is a great place to begin.
Yeah. We're going to continue with more solutions. Are you prepared for retirement? Do you even know what you need to be looking for? How much do you need? Let's do a review for you. Start with calling the phone number you see right now down on the bottom of the screen. We'll set up an appointment for you. No cost, no obligation. More of the Allon Exchange with Jay and Brittany when we get back right after this.
Well, about almost 10 years ago now, Brittany and I came to the realization that the position that we were in, we wanted to expand what we were doing. We were in full-time ministry, and so I realized as I was counseling people a lot, it had a lot to do with finance.
Because finances are a touchy subject. It can be challenging, and that's what we want to do, help people prepare for those unexpecteds.
I had a friend at the time who was in the industry and ran an RIA and decided to, take a sneak peek into what he was doing, and really, loved the model of being able to be independent and fiduciary in our advice and the way that we help people.
And when we decided to begin our own independent firm, we knew there's a better way. There's just a better way to do this. It's beyond transactional interaction. It's this relational component that we knew we want to have. And I believe that each individual and family has to find the right fit for them.
And I think most people that walk in here are looking for that unique touch. Like, independently, how can we help your family succeed?
Welcome back to the Allon Exchange with your financial advisors, Jay and Brittany Hagy, founders of Allon Planning Partners. I'm your host, Spike Spangle. How do we know if you are retirement ready? Myself, we do understand it's a very personal question.
Yeah.
Everybody's got different savings. We're all different ages. But there's a key point I really want to continue on. Over the last couple of years, we've seen a lot in inflation. A lot of folks will turn on their Social Security, see how much they're getting this month, maybe figure, oh, I'll take another $1,000 or $2,000 from this retirement account, my 401k, maybe my spouse has something, and we'll figure out our numbers today. You're not taking into account inflation and the increase of costs later and surprises like healthcare costs. How, as a financial advisory team, do you help people visualize that and solve for it as well?
Yeah, you know, inflation is really the hidden tax. We're going to pay for it. You can't escape it. We're built in a system to where our money's constantly needing to grow because inflation is eating away the value. So we have to, first and foremost, make folks aware of inflation, right? Because that's not at the top of mind. We're not talking about it because we're worried about what we're paying today, the taxes we're paying, or the health care we're paying today. We're not so much worried about, oh, everything's going to be 5% more expensive 3 years from now, right? We don't think that way. So we have to, in our calculations, bring awareness to it, and we have to provide solutions of investment vehicles that folks can be entertained in so that they can utilize these to beat inflation, right? Because what you don't want to do is get into retirement and say, okay, I retired, now all of my money's going to retire.
Thank you. Thank
You
you.
can't do that.
It's
Your
not an
money
all
still
or
has to
nothing.
grow.
Right.
And so
Right.
it's kind of like, analogy is like heart disease, right? We can go a long time without exercising. We can still eat the way we want to, and we not really notice what's going on inside, that hidden tax that our body's paying and our arteries may be clogging up until one day an artery totally shuts down and we have a coronary, right? We have a heart attack. It's kind of the same thing with inflation. If you don't pay attention to it along the way and exercise, put a strategy together to where inflation is not so deadly to you, it can stop your retirement plan. It can stop you in its tracks. You can run out of money sooner.
And then layer on top of that, when we're talking about inflation and watching the cost of different sectors of our world really increase, one of the highest and the first to increase with inflation is healthcare. And the unfortunate part about that is that as you are entering into retirement, that is when you need healthcare the most. So not only are you dealing with inflation on every other sector, costs of goods and services, but you are looking at a massive increase in your costs for healthcare on top of that.
Don't we have, though, Medicare to help us with those costs? I mean,
Well, it will help. It's not going
Not
to
gonna pay for it all.
pay for it all.
Yeah.
And that is a common misnomer right there, is that people think, oh, I've got Medicare, I'll take care of it. No, it doesn't take care of all of it. You have to pay into that. There are costs and fees associated with that care, and it's based on a number of different factors, which is why we have a Medicare specialist that really focuses on this to ensure that you understand your options. But the bottom line is you have to consider inflation as a part of your plan.
Yeah.
If you don't, it will erode your dollars.
Let's give a couple solutions to what you can actually do, okay? Because like I said, you don't want to retire and let your money retire too. It's going backwards. You will run out of money sooner. So you need to have a diversified portfolio. You need to make sure that you have maybe even a bucket strategy is the way we label it. We have different buckets of money working at different sections or sectors in the
Intervals
market
even, yeah.
in intervals of growth. High risk, high reward on some. low risk to no risk on some that actually has steady returns but aren't going to give you the high returns that you need. You need to have a good balance of both and a good mix of both to create a good income plan. Things like treasury inflated protected securities, some tips, right? Like some things that are actually going to pay you more as inflation gets higher.
Dividend paying stocks.
Dividend paying stocks over time. So you're not worried just about the ups and downs of the markets, but you're getting a dividend to hold this equity as well.
Worked pretty good for a little guy named Warren Buffett.
Yeah, that's
those
right.
dividend paying
Worked
stocks, because
right.
you're not worried so much about the value of what the stock
That's
is,
exactly
because you
right.
know you're going to be getting the dividend, but not a complete strategy. We've talked about this over a year ago about the different ways that people look to create income in retirement, but there isn't one simple solution.
That's right.
I'm sure at the restaurant or golf course or family outing, people are always asking, come on, what's the strategy
What's
I
the
need?
secret?
What's the secret I need to create income in retirement?
the
Like, wait
secret.
a minute. The secret
Which
is that
crypto
there's
should I be
tons of it.
investing in tomorrow,
Oh,
right?
God, I can't believe you just,
That's what I
thanks
literally-
compliance, he just said crypto.
That's literally what happens.
No, but I was going to say the secret is that it really is a customized approach. It is a very strategic and individualized
That's right.
approach that we take. What works for client A is not going to work for client B, because client A and client B have very different assets, very different income, and very different tolerances to what they can enjoy or tolerate when it comes to market volatility or maybe just investments in general. So all factors considered, we take all that data and put it together to craft a strategy that works for you, that gets you to where you want to be, and it really, we have to create one that you'll stick with. That's key as well.
And we test our portfolios. We run them through all kind of what-if scenarios. So we're not just going to put you in a portfolio and say, okay, you should be good for the rest of your life, no matter what happens. We have a lot of what-ifs. What if I take Social Security early? What if I wait until take it later? What happens if my spouse passes away and I lose that pension? What happens if I run out of money in this account before I thought because I needed to pay some debts I didn't see coming, right? There's medical expenses. We run a lot of what-if scenarios so that people aren't worried about inflation as much. We build that into our Monte Carlo simulations and making sure out of 1,000 iterations of market trials, here's what it looks like at this scenario versus that scenario. High inflation is a scenario you have to run for and you have to solve for, and our portfolios and the way that we position folks individually protect against inflation.
Yeah, and those stress tests, they're not it's not about fear. It's
That's
not
right.
about being afraid, right? That's
being
the stress
smart.
test is about building resiliency into your plan. It's about using wisdom and preparing ahead of time and ensuring that you have your bases covered.
Yep.
So
If you're going to go out and run a
place for
half
that.
marathon, you're not going to just go out the very next day and say, all right, I'm going to go run all 13 miles of it. You have to build up to, I like what you said, the
process.
resilience.
That's right.
Stress testing the portfolio isn't about making anybody nervous or saying, oh, look how bad your situation is. We're going to take into account factors of somebody maybe passing away early, low market returns for maybe a long period of time, and saying, let's put some stress on this mathematically and see if it's
The bottom line, Spike, is that we plan and prepare. So we plan for the best, we prepare for the worst. I think that's the way we try to build. Every client should have peace of mind knowing that we're not just saying this plan is going to be forever. We create fluidity within our plans because we prepare for what could happen, the what-ifs of life. And one of those what-ifs is this inflation topic that we're talking about.
I'm going to throw this one to Brittany here. We're about to go out into commercial break. We've been on the air for at least a couple of years. You do live events. You've got your wonderful radio show as well. But the team here from the Allon Planning Partners literally puts together strategies for you, individualized, tailored for every single person, every single family who reaches out to us. Why don't you explain just a little bit, Brittany, what exactly is the Allon approach, both from the book here, and what you do when people call the phone number on the bottom of the screen?
Yeah, so when you call the number, you're going to get to speak with someone who will help you schedule a complimentary consultation. That is part of what we offer when it comes to this approach that we take, the Allon approach. We want to do this very individualized, very strategic, very personal conversations that help you get to where you want to be. So we've got to identify some goals and be able to get to the strategy to help you get to where you want to be. This book, The Allon Approach, is what we have written, is another resource, again, to help you really experience what you want to experience in retirement. And this comes with every consultation. So you will receive a complimentary copy of that as well.
We're going to take a very short break. Call the phone number right now down on the bottom of the screen. Schedule schedule your own appointment. We'll put together your own written financial plan for retirement. And when you make that appointment, you'll get a complimentary copy of the book as well. We'll be right back with Jay and Brittany after this.
Allon means oak tree, and when we began this firm 7, 8, 9 years ago, something like that, we were searching, trying to determine what do we really want to build this foundation on? How do we want to depict and share this mission that we have with the world? What does this look like?
And so as we were processing through what should be the grounding factor, the name of our company, Allon really stood out. It's actually the Hebrew word for oak tree.
And we knew that the oak tree was going to be the symbol for what we are, how we operate, because those are the kinds of financial plans we want to create.
And so Allon comes from the Psalms, where it talks about the tree that is planted by the water, that has deep roots, that even in times of drought, this tree can sustain life, and it bears fruit in every season.
That really became the foundation and the mantra of our firm. Why we do what we do, who we are, how we operate.
We want to create plans for people with deep roots that even in times of turmoil it hits their life. Maybe it's a death in their family. Maybe it's another financial crisis. Maybe it's COVID, and something that we can't even see coming. But the roots are so deep that they bear fruit in all seasons because we have a plan for every season of life.
Welcome back to the Allon Exchange with Jay and Brittany Hagy, financial advisors here to help you be and stay retired. And, it's not just that, but there's a lot of talk of the transfer of wealth that's going to happen from this wonderful baby boomer generation. And I guess it makes me think of what kind of legacy I'd want to leave behind for my own name, for my own family. Legacy planning as financial advisors. How much is that part of a conversation for you when it comes to, let's say, a written financial plan?
Yeah, it's one of those core components. If you are missing that piece of the puzzle, then your plan is incomplete. And a lot of folks think that it's only impacts you when you do pass away and pass on assets to your heirs, but it actually impacts you while you are still living as well. When you look at documents like power of attorney for financial, power of attorney for healthcare, a living will, or an advanced healthcare directive, those types of documents that actually make an impact on your life while you are still alive. That is part of this whole puzzle. It's not just the will or a trust or those types of documents. Man, it's all of it together and how it works. So if you are missing that part of your plan, this is kind of the call to action today. Take a moment and dig into this. We talk, a lot. Even today, Spike, we've talked about the resources and the solutions that we want to provide. That is a mantra of our firm. We will say it till we're blue in the face. There is always a solution, and so we want to not just acknowledge, hey, here's a problem. We want to offer solutions. We have another tool to help you navigate through this whole legacy piece that we're talking about when it comes to your finances, and it's called the legacyquiz.com. Super simple to remember, thelegacyquiz.com, and it'll guide you through a series of questions and help you determine where you fall kind of on the readiness scale when it comes to passing on assets and helping you through the remainder of your lifetime when it comes to power of attorneys and control of your assets and things like that. It's a step-by-step guide that helps you get through that. And then we'll kind of give you a score at the end to kind of say, hey, here's where you land. Here's where some holes may be. Here's some things that you need to be thinking about. And then we help provide those solutions and put those pieces together.
Yeah, and you asked it beautifully, I believe. How important is it? It is very important. It's so important that it is one of the 5 components of our overall financial plan. It's the core component to your financial plan. It's also so important that we didn't want to just lump it in with our regular retirement readiness quiz. We wanted to create another quiz all by itself to say, have you thought through the importance of legacy and estate planning? Because a lot of times, me included, we want to see how this benefits us today, not just tomorrow. And sometimes legacy planning goes into, I think it just benefits me tomorrow, and I can think about that tomorrow because I'm more worried about the problems of today.
You put it on the back burner.
But this absolutely affects you today. Even from a tax standpoint, if you're taking required minimum distributions from your tax account, your tax deferred accounts, you can actually send those directly to charities, and some estate planning tools that we utilize, QCDs, qualified charitable distributions. It's a tax planning strategy, also a legacy building strategy, because we can utilize that to get it to the charity that you want. So there are a lot of things that we can do. It's so important that people need to understand it's not just about tomorrow, it's about today as well.
Well, and to kind of speak to what you were saying, we had a client come in, man, like 10 days ago. I mean, this is very recent. Came in, and they were talking about, I mean, they had done very well saving and putting away for their future. And they had around 7 or 8 million, I believe, in their 401k or an IRA. It was an IRA. And they were talking about how, well, we'll just pass this on to my kids and they get all of that tax-free. And we're like, hold on, wait. Unfortunately, that is not how this works. They do not get to inherit that tax-free. Actually, it's the opposite. They inherit that, and then the government puts a timeline on when they have to actually have the funds completely depleted from that account. And he was, you know, in this moment of shock, like, wait, what? This is estate planning. This is legacy planning.
That's right.
So if you have worked your entire life to build and to create this wealth, and then you get to the point of retirement and eventually where you have to pass that on, you do not want that to go into Uncle Sam's hands, especially unnecessarily. We'll pay them our portion, but man, let's use tax law to help us pay less taxes rather than more taxes.
But also make sure you have wills, trust, power of attorneys that are appropriate for you, right? Those are the things we want to put in place, because we had another client come in a couple weeks ago with about $10 million in real estate, and they did not have a will or a trust or any way to pass this on. You need to make sure you have a ironclad, rock solid estate plan, so that you can pass on.
Think about that.
Asset.
Think about you think as a parent you're blessing the next generation, right? Look at what we have built, and we're able to pass that on. But what you see as a blessing can turn into an absolute curse for the next generation.
Especially a trigger like a real estate.
That's what I'm saying. If it is not planned for appropriately, it can feel more like this burden, and how am I supposed to do this, and all these taxes and properties, and there's no directive, and I don't know how to do this, instead of having clear guidelines and directives when it comes to taxes, when it comes to inheriting all of that. There is strategy that you put in place now so that the blessing doesn't turn into a curse.
That's right.
We're going to have to wrap things up today, but a complimentary written financial plan from the team here. It starts right now with a phone call. It is so simple. Dial the phone number you see down on the bottom of the screen, or if you want to, you can open up your phone to the camera function, point it right here at this QR code, click on it, and you can schedule your own appointment right there. What is the legacy that you want to leave behind? Are you sure that you are retirement ready? Jay and Brittany have put together so many free tools for you to use, but the easiest one is your actual phone that's in your hand. Call that phone number right now down on the bottom of the screen so you can sit down with the team here from Allon Planning Partners. Jay and Brittany, thank you both very much for all of your time today. Thank you for your energy. I could tell that you were very, very excited about today's program. Folks, we'll all be back again next week. Call that phone number. Thank you so much for watching. For Jay and Brittany, I'm Spike Spangle. This has been the Allon Exchange. We'll be back next week.